And now I'm going not very far out of town. I'm going to Somerset West and say hello to my old-time friend, Mariette du Toit Helmbold, who is the former CEO of Cape Town Tourism. And now she's a chief Destineer at Destinate. Hello, Mariette.
Hi, Niels.
How are you?
I'm really well. Great to chat to you today.
Likewise. Thank you so much for spending a few minutes with us. What is Destinate? Destinate sounds like, I don't know, destination, destineering, destiny. What is Destinate? What do you do there?
I guess it's a little bit of everything at the moment, particularly since we've been living through a pandemic. But the initial vision behind Destinate was to bridge the gap between destinations, markets, and product. And I've always been really passionate about the multidimensional nature of travel and tourism. It's a really complex industry. It's an industry that touches so many sectors, and there's so many nuances to it. And I think for a long time, if you look at how people study tourism, I've always believed it's wrong. That there's very few resources right on the strategic level. So we specialize in strategic support, destination marketing, communications, PR, and also in particular digital marketing, which was something that is very close to my heart and has helped, during my time at Cape Town Tourism, really to propel Cape Town into the international arena and being able to compete with big destinations, around the world. Through digital marketing. So digital marketing has really been one of our key strengths as an organization, and we support private and public sector behind the scenes now, no longer in the hot seat, but behind the scenes helping with everything from strategy to implementation.
Now, thanks for that introduction. We like to think that we are at the tail end, hopefully, of this horrible pandemic that we've lived through over the past 18 months. How have your clients managed to over the past 18 months? Are they all still there? Have some needed to pivot and do something else? Or what happened there? Just a snapshot on your clients over the past 18 months.
It's been really tough. We have a number of clients in the wine and tourism sector. And then thankfully for us, just before, the year or two before the pandemic, we started working also within the corporate and commercial sector, working with clients like Shoprite Holdings, H&M, and others. But certainly our tourism-related clients and our wine clients have been very hard hit over the last 18 months. For many, it's been really tough to survive. Most of them have survived by really looking at innovation and doing things differently. And that's been our key role as well. We supported our clients throughout this period, helping them to find ways in which not just to survive, but to use this pandemic to reinvent and to reposition themselves and find different ways in which to attract business going forward. And for many, it's also been an opportunity to rebuild and to look towards the future and use this pandemic as an opportunity to branch out. I think, we're going to talk a little bit about domestic tourism, for instance. So many of our clients have looked with fresh eyes towards domestic market as well.
Yeah, that would be my next question. The domestic market has accused many products that we created over the past 10, 15, 20 years as one that's only geared towards international and hard currency and what have you. And yet now, over the past 18 months, many of those properties have said, thank goodness for the domestic market that has now started to learn that there is decent, wonderful product right across the range. I mean, not only in the top end, but also in the middle and bottom end. Bottom sounds horrible, but in the more budget-oriented. We've got some fantastic product in South Africa for everybody. And yet many people, when they could, were traveling outside, but now they had to focus on here. There were specials, there were domestic deals, all sorts of things, and reaching out. Is that something which will disappear again as the international market rediscovers South Africa? The UK has recently dropped us from the red list and whatever. Will that be a thing of the past, or will people keep a good eye on that domestic market and see how can we look after that one too?
I think many people in the industry have learned the hard way that we cannot survive with all our eggs in the international basket. It's just not sustainable. And it's not just because of the pandemic. It is also because of this issue we have around seasonality in South Africa, and just the vulnerability, whether that is from a health perspective, but also from a socio-economic and a political perspective. You know, there are so many issues that impact on international travel, and being a long-haul destination, it leaves us ultimately vulnerable. So I really hope that our industry has recognized the importance of a very strong domestic tourism foundation, where international tourism is the cherry on the cake. But we have said for many years that domestic tourism is the toughest nut to crack, particularly in a destination like South Africa, where travel, is seen as a luxury by the majority of our population. And whether we like to admit it or not, for the majority of South Africans, travel is something that is a far, it's a dream. It's something that is just not possible.
Not on the top priority lists.
Exactly. For many, it's just survival. But be that as it may, we have a really healthy domestic travel market here that's keen to travel, that's passionate about their own country. And I think for many people that have often traveled overseas and have been prevented to do so, I think it would be fantastic to see this new resurgence of domestic tourism just strengthening, and for us to build on that.
Yeah, and also the thing is that there are a few bigger hotels, but we don't have those big, massive resorts that some other places have, and what have you. So I think the more boutique places and what have you will also talk to a market which is not necessarily the mass market anyway. And as we said, if people can't travel internationally, they now rediscover their own country. And I was recently with my wife on a road trip, and I mean, my goodness, there is so much to see and so much to do. And even when you dig deeper and going into another little dorpy, as we call it, a little village, and have a look and drive gravel roads and whatever, you discover the most wonderful places. A bit of a prognosis, and we always do that in our roundtables that we do as PKF hotel experts. When do you see the 2019 levels, which seems to sort of be the last benchmark of normality? When do you see that coming back?
I think it will take us a good 2 years to get back to that. I think the predictions around this coming season is positive. There's certainly an excitement around the world to travel again, and destinations, Africa is on the list. We particularly for people and destinations like the UK, which we're so thankful is off the red list now, know that South Africa and Southern Africa has a lot to offer in terms of COVID-friendly travel options. If you think of our island destinations, our safari destinations, our rural destinations, we have a lot of space, and of course value for money. South Africans also known for their hospitality and their generous welcome. So I think anybody around the world that wants to have an incredible holiday, they will have it when they come to South Africa or Southern Africa. And our job and the job of our marketing agencies is to make sure that we spread that message, that we are absolutely ready and that we are able to welcome the world, but that in terms of the offering that we have that's waiting for the world, it is one of the best in the world.
No, you're absolutely right. And I think the other message that's important, and you touched on it, is that the regional aspects, and not just keep the visitors to ourselves, but actually share it with the region and make the product at the end of the day better, wider, and more varied, because and that's the wonderful thing. We have a lot of repeat guests, and then they venture out and they go to Namibia and see the beautiful landscapes there. They go to big falls. They go to some game parks in Zimbabwe. You can go to Malawi. I mean, there are many emerging markets as well as far as tourism product is concerned. Now, time is always.
Sorry, Niels. I guess as you said, just want to reiterate, we have to package. We have to work together. We have to think smarter if we want to persuade the world to come so far. And we have it within our basket of products within the region.
Yeah, there's enough attraction there, definitely. Now, coming back to something about trends. You put on your website, you put that a 2021 trend is finding purpose and well-being through travel. Now, that sounds all lovely, airy, fairy, or whatever. But what does it really mean?
We've seen, obviously, one of the major things. I mean, COVID is a health issue, we know, so it's a pandemic, and we've seen people lost loved ones. We've seen people's quality of life affected. And we've seen a major international awareness around wellness and health that's happened. And even before the pandemic, there was a huge surge in wellness travel. So from a health perspective, we'll see a lot more focus on wellness. So things like your spa, your all women breakaways, your retreats, etc. But also then from an kind of, I guess, more spiritual, emotional perspective, people are also yearning to reconnect to self, reconnect to their precious people that they, for many parts, have been separated for many months. So travel will continue to becoming a much more sacred experience for many people, because it's something that we took for granted for so many years, right? This freedom of travel and movement. And it's that thing that was taken away from all of us. And I think there will be a much greater appreciation and a value attached to travel. And, you know, yes, there'll be a lot of impulsive getaways, but I think that special once a year trip will become a lot more thoughtful. People will pay a lot more attention to where they go, with whom they go, and how they're traveling, because they are really aware of the impact that their travel has on the world, not just from kind of an economic perspective, but certainly also from a health and wellness perspective.
Yeah. Mariette, our time has run out. I wish I could talk much, much longer to you, but we definitely need to get together very, very soon and make sure that we can reconnect over those 25 kilometers that we are apart. Thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it. Mariette du Toit Helmbold of Destinate. Have a fantastic day, and we'll chat very soon.
Thank you, Niels. We will.
Thank you.